Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome. John Henry Soda here, along with George Batista. Welcome to the show. We are excited today. We have Tommy Burke is on the show this evening, and we are still kind of waiting for him, but he will be here. So um, hang tight. Hopefully, he'll be here. We're going to be talking about his new book called Not Just Sunglasses and Autographs. He spent 30 years in Hollywood, films and television, and we're going to have a great conversation about all that stuff, which I love. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So, yeah, hang tight. We'll be right back. All right. So we're going to be talking to Tommy Burke today. Hopefully, if he comes in, I just sent a message to make sure we didn't get the dates wrong or the hours wrong. But we'll see. George, I don't know if you wanted to, since why don't you read his bio now, and we'll just do that, and then we'll do our sponsor. Actually, let's do our sponsor first, and then his bio. That'll give us a little bit of time.
Okay, yeah. Well, as always, the Artist Blueprint is brought to you by Wellness Resources, a family owned and operated nutritional supplement company providing the highest quality, clinically formulated supplements since 1985. Make sure you check them out. Find out why they are amazing supplements that everybody should be taking. It's myvitaminresource.com. And don't forget the two savings you get as our listeners and viewers. The first one is if you enter the promo code Artist Blueprint at checkout, you will get free shipping on your order. And then on top of that, don't forget their monthly specials. And today, by the way, is the last day to take advantage of their leptin weight management supplements. Again, it's, we're getting to the beach time soon, right? Summer's coming. Want to look good for the beach, want to lose that weight. Well, the leptin weight management supplements can help you with that. So it's 25% off their weight management supplements in April. Again, this is the final day for this sale. Tremendous savings between the 25% and the free shipping on all their supplements. So check them out. It's Wellness Resources at myvitaminresource.com.
Cool.
Yeah, and Tommy Burke is going to be back with us. He was with us before a couple of months ago, had a great conversation, and he's back for another stellar conversation. Of course, he has this fantastic book out, Not Just Sunglasses and Autographs. It's a 30 years of film and television production. I mean, he's been through a lot. I mean, his book is an endearing story of overcoming the odds through dark humor, tenacity, authenticity, and happiness. Initially envisioned as a memoir about a man who had beaten Hodgkin's lymphoma and lived to tell the tale, Tommy was also thrown a major curveball with a Parkinson's disease diagnosis. So he talks about all that, okay? But he meets every challenge, and the book talks about, how he overcame all these challenges. So these pages of his book will encourage readers to keep moving forward, embrace resilience, step out of their comfort zones, and take life head on. And, it's really an inspiring story, John. And, I love, talking to folks like this because they have a just this view of life where they've been hit with all these types of things, and they just have this mindset of, I'm gonna overcome that. Even when we talked to him last time, he was literally no nonsense about it. He said, no, I'm gonna do what I need to do and get past it. And he also talked about how he would go to film sets after he had some kind of treatment or whatever, and then he would drive those long distances and do, the work on his film. So it's just an amazing story, an amazing man.
Yeah. And it's also amazing because I've been reading the book, and one of the things, this is a hard business. You know what I mean? It's hard business because it's a grueling business. It's not, you don't clock in, you don't clock out. There's no hourly pay. It's until the work gets done. And it's grueling in that respect, and it must be even more grueling when you're actually battling an illness, and you're weak from having treatment and whatever you're going through. It makes it really difficult, I'm sure. and his perseverance is just inspiring. And the book is very funny. First, I've read the first 3 chapters, and he talks about growing up as well. Growing up poor, and his father telling him stories, tales of being poor, which it kind of made me laugh because it's sort of like my tales that I tell my kids now. And my kids have no idea
Yeah.
what not having bread is like, what I mean, or not having, food or something.
Right.
It's
Right.
it's very, very interesting. And so um yeah, but I just got a email watching and shared. Oh, cool. Okay, well, yeah. So I think that part of the 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 book that was endearing to me was that I'm in that journey and I'm having those conversations with my kids, and I also don't want to tell them to make them feel bad,
Right.
like oh, poor daddy or something, but there is an appreciation that I have,
Yes. Yes.
that I want them to also understand that, situations right now for us are pretty good in comparison to what I had. And he talks about this, and the tales that his father left him on a drive actually is still there, which Tommy, I'm going to ask him about it. He hasn't, apparently hasn't read these yet. His dad left like memoir, like
Oh,
on
wow.
this flash drive or something. And so I wanted to, I want to ask him about that. But yeah, like I said, it's one of these really difficult industries to be in, just to begin with, but he was in it for 30 years. He was able to not only, be successful and have a career and continue in it, because that's the hard part,
Yeah.
so many people get into the business, but it's really hard to maintain a career. And people will say, well, oh, that 0.11 or 0.00001% of the celebrities that we talk about, that we know, that percentage is so small of the people that are in the industry. There's 99.99% of people that are having wonderful careers, living their lives, working in the entertainment industry, but not household names,
Right.
And when we're talking about Denzel Washington, you're talking about Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, these are like just the star, these are stardom celebrity superstars, right? Which is a very rare thing to achieve. But what you can achieve is a career in this industry if you really love it,
That's right.
and that's the one thing that you have to really love it,
Yeah.
and yeah.
That's it's interesting because that's what came really out to the forefront during the strike, right? As you realize that's when even for me as a guy who doesn't know a lot about the film industry and writers and all that, but I've learned a lot from you and talking to you about it. But when the strike happened, and then we really talked about, and you and I talked about it in one of the shows, the numbers and the people that were out of work and that
Oh yeah,
literally,
and it's still struggling. I mean, right now
yeah,
it's still
yeah,
recovering.
it's really really interesting. It's funny. There's a young lady who was on The Sopranos, Drea Di Matteo. She was the girlfriend of one of the young mobsters on there, and she was a popular character on the show. But she was talking about it, how she was on a recent show that I was watching in a interview, and she was saying that after The Sopranos, she was just going to be a working actress. She wasn't dreaming about being a star or anything like that. She had kids and all this,
Yeah.
and she didn't save a lot of money because she just thought that the work would come in. And then of course, COVID happens and shuts everything down. Then the strike happens, and literally, she was like getting foreclosed on.
Wow.
It got to the point where she was getting foreclosed on, and there was other things because she didn't want to comply with so that had a lot to do with it as well. That her agent dropped her. So there was a lot of that stuff too.
Yeah.
But she was at that point where she could, it was getting hard to put food on the table. And then she was saying, and she goes, sometimes you don't realize it, how people don't understand. They see you in this show and the hit show and all this, but they don't know what's going on the other side. They don't,
Yeah, and they think because you're on TV, you're making a lot of money.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
And that's not always the case. I mean, you get a show, especially now, I think, things have leveled off only because there's so many other networks now. There used to be, there were only the three networks, right, or
Yeah.
five or four networks if you
Hmm.
count, what CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox, and maybe some, a couple of cable channels or something.
Right.
But now there's hundreds. Like I'll sometimes be on my on Instagram and I'll see a something TV, and I'll
Yeah.
go on
Yeah.
it and it's like a network.
Yep.
And there's all these shows I've never even heard of,
Yeah.
and they're full out shows, shot well,
Hmm.
acted well, directed, and I'm like, wow, it's a different industry, it's and so there's more opportunities, I think, but you have to be more mindful of the money part, and you have to understand it, understand that, there are some actors, and I can't remember which one it was, but he was talking about he was working on a hit show and he'd have to still do another job.
Yeah. Mm.
He was on a hit
Yeah.
show, and he was a regular on a hit show, but he wasn't a one of the prime, the what do you call it, the principal actors, right?
Sure.
But he was on a hit show, and he was consistently on there, So you have to kind of like make sure that you're able to look at the industry like a business.
Right.
And people say that all the time, and it's a cliche, but more than ever now, if you do not look at it like a business, and you have to take, something that I wish I would have had it, but I kind of know what he's saying. But Jason Alexander from Seinfeld, it's a
Hmm.
clip that I've shared a couple of times because it's so true. And he said, that the days of actors just being actors is probably over.
Hmm.
He
Right.
said today you have to. He said the most frustrated actors are the ones that are sitting at home waiting to get the job.
Right.
And he says now you have to go and make the job.
Yes.
Start
Yes.
a film company, hire yourself,
Hmm.
find actors and find people that want to actually do a project together, put the project out there, promote it, get it into festivals, and continue to do that. And maybe, there's a possibility that you'll be seen by someone, and maybe you get an opportunity that you never would have gotten if you had sat at home waiting for
Yeah.
that phone to ring, you know. And I think that that's a major, and I think that goes across the boards, not just film, but I think it goes through music and just
Yes.
through art in general.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a different time. It's a completely different time. It is a weird time because there is way more avenues, and we've talked about it, right, for marketing and for being seen and all that. But at the same time, there's the difficulties of the industry itself, and
Yeah,
especially at the top industry where it's, again, like I've said, it's kind of shrinking,
yeah,
and what's coming out of the other side is the independent scene, which is growing. But it's a funny thing that you said about waiting around. It shows you the difference between the way things are now and the way things were 40, 50 years ago. Dick Van Dyke,
yeah,
I did a little segment on him on my show because just to kind of celebrate, his longevity and
yeah, yeah,
and his outlook on health and life and all this.
sure.
And but one of the things he said, I remember in an interview with him, was that in his younger days, he goes, I was actually lazy. He goes, I didn't go out and look for work. He goes, work always found me. He goes, my phone would ring, and luckily I would always get cast in this and that and all these things. He goes, but I was really lazy. He goes, I kind of just sat at home. He goes, I can't imagine what my career would have been if I would have actually gone out and looked for work.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, but
You
it's
know,
interesting.
it's kind of it's it's kind of interesting because I think having that attitude also is good as well, where you just don't put that much emphasis or that much attention on, because I think sometimes an actor will psych themselves up to a point where they'll get so, I need to get this job, I need to go
Yeah.
out, and that they forget the art part. They
Right.
forget their what they're doing. They forget the purpose of what they're doing because they're into this grind. And so there is a something to be said about being, sort of not necessarily lazy, but just being like, waiting for the phone to ring, or just maybe not being so crazy about it.
Yeah.
And it was a different time though
It
for
was
him
a
as
different time.
well.
Right.
It was
Right.
like phone calls are made, so it's just completely different. I'm getting a phone call here, and I'm wondering if it's
Okay, go.
It's Tommy because it's from California. Hold on. Let's see. It's exciting. Live. Hello.
I'm sorry.
Hey.
I mean, I've downloaded Chrome 29 times.
Oh no.
It's a brand new computer. It's 3 weeks old. It's a laptop.
That's so weird.
Live
That's so
TV.
weird. Well, we're live right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're live right now, and I'm on the phone with you.
Well,
Do you want me to put you on speaker, or you can answer a few questions, and then you can always come back. This is your
can you try it one more time?
yeah.
Send me a link. Send me a link real quick.
All right, I'm gonna send it right now.
Bye.
Okay, bye. All right, Tommy is having a little trouble with his computer. He wants me to email him the link again, which I will do ahora mismo. That means right now.
Hey, all right.
Fancy. Let me see. Oops, that's not it. So anyway, let's continue talking our conversation so we're not just dead air here.
Sean Manuel says live TV, folks.
That's what live TV. You
You
know,
gotta love it.
that's why we do it. It's funny because yesterday I was talking on about podcasting at a class, and one of the things they were asking was like, don't you get nervous if something goes wrong live? And I was like, yeah.
We've actually done. I mean, if you look at the history of our shows, we did do a show like that once with somebody on the phone itself on speaker.
Yeah.
And John knows. I mean, John and I have talked about it many times. John knows I hate live. I hate doing anything live except maybe playing on stage. But other than that, like this stuff when you're relying on this technology, I don't know. It's but whatever.
Well, I think that the technology part of it, I like it because we get to do a lot of different things, at one time. And then once the show is done, and we can put the show out.
Right.
And the show goes to all the different platforms. There's no editing involved. Like this right here, I'm not editing this. Tommy had an issue. He's downloading Chrome. He had an issue with that. It's happened before.
Yeah.
And this is his book. He's a great guy, and we'll have him back again. He's going to come on now. Hopefully, he can handle that the situation. And here he is again. Okay. Hey.
John.
Yes.
John Henry Soto.
Yeah. Well, we're live, and yeah, I'm I'm gonna put you on. Hold on.
You're right, Sean.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Tommy Burke.
Hey, Tommy.
How you doing, guys?
We are doing very well. Thank you so much. I know that this sometimes gets a little frustrating with the technology part of it, but like George and I always said, you're like one of our favorite guests. So anytime you want to come back, you always come back, and you're on now, technically, right? I mean, people can go buy your book and see what you look like on your book.
Well, here's the thing: is you are the few people that read the book. I think the reason why you hurt your back was because you didn't have enough time to read the book.
Well, actually, I would have been finished with the book had I not hurt my back. I'd say that much. But
ask me anything. Ask me. I'm wide open.
Okay, so check this out. I was reading the book, and you had some really. The first chapter is very kind of very emotional because you're talking about your father and some of the stories that he told you about growing up poor. And I know you said that he had left a drive, a flash drive with some stuff on it that you haven't looked at yet. And I don't know how tough is that for you to talk about, but I was very interested in that point of it because growing up, I grew up, poor as well. And it's funny because I sometimes tell my kids these stories and I feel like, I want them to understand that, what we have today and, to appreciate what we currently have and not really take anything for granted, but it seems like your dad really gave you a good understanding of hard work, from being a caddy to a restaurant and all the jobs that you did. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, no, my mother was a bit of hard work. She came from a family that didn't speak English. She was born in Jersey, but she was born first with Polish. She spoke Polish. And I say in the book, and we have 4 boys in the family, and she'd go around at dinner time, and after dinner she'd go, "Did you work today? Did you work today? You didn't work today? You do the dishes." Work was so important to our family.
Yes, yes. That's amazing. Did you have after working in the film industry, that really goes a long way, because those aren't 8-hour days. You're not punching in and punching out. Those are 18-hour days.
Well, I took it to an extreme a little bit. I mean, actually, I kind of like this. I mean, no face. I can speak it nominally.
You like this?
Yes. No, George, I have a question for you too.
Yes, sir.
We'll let John get his questions. I'll get one. What's the next question, John?
Go ahead. Actually, you can ask him now, because I have one other one. But
I mean, just keep in mind that Tommy Burke is a guy that knows more about us than we know about him. So
that's a good point.
It's a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Lion's mane mushroom.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Lion's mane mushroom.
Oh, lion's mane mushroom. Yes. What about it?
What are the benefits? What are the
Well, actually, it's an amazing antioxidant. Very, very good. Anything with mushrooms is actually, I love mushrooms. Mushrooms are really, really good. But it has very good antioxidant properties, and it's anti a lot of things, actually. Like there's a lot of.
Parkinson?
I'm sorry.
Will it cure Parkinson's?
I cannot say that at all, my friend, unfortunately, because I will have the FBI knocking down my door in 2 seconds if I say anything like that. However, I will say that it will support anything that you're doing, and it will support your immune system, so it is a good thing to take. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
So, John, I'm so keen for this interview. I can't tell you how pumped I am, because you're one of the few people that read the book.
Well, I tell you, it is a very, very entertaining book as well, and you're very funny. I didn't know that the cat being a caddy. I learned so much about that, because I had no idea that there was so much involved, that you have to be ranked. I didn't know caddies were ranked.
Well, that's just because they get more money. So
yeah.
Back in the 70s, it was like a long time ago. Yeah. They don't have caddies now. You know why?
Why?
Because the clubhouse makes money off the golf cart.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
They really don't want caddies too much. Really big clubs will have caddies, but small ones they want, because they also carts go faster too.
Yeah, that's true. But eventually it'll just be an AI robot driving you around and suggesting what clubs to pick.
But as a caddy,
I stuck back in the Braeburn Country Club a little while ago, and I went in, and it was like remember the big clubhouse down there where we kept all the caddies?
Yeah.
Oh, they kept the caddies now. One little room with a TV on it, because they can't keep the caddies for long. We had no TVs or nothing.
Yeah. I remember you would throw tennis balls at each other. It was like a sport to try to be entertained. And then golf balls.
I know, crazy.
That's just so brutal. There's one section here that I thought was so great, because it really you mapped out the sequence of a film, of a shoot, of a scene, I should say, and it's on page 18. And when you talk about everything is quiet, right, and you have to you say you call out, lock it up. That whole part, you wrote it so well, because it made me really feel like you're there, like you're actually, because it's such a weird industry, where you have to kind of like shut everyone up. Everyone shut up. We're locking up the streets. Nobody move. Okay, action. Now everybody move.
For that, I went from PA almost to first AD. I didn't know. I do rap. Lock it up. Here we go. Stand by. Quiet, please. Here we go. Stand by. Lock it up. And that little, they can't get a word to stop me doing it. I go right into Rolling Sound. It's a little trick I made up. I'm the only one that I think that does that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't know any better.
Right. Well, I always love the you call them dopey deer, the cars that would come in, and because that happens a lot when you're shooting out there, you'll see somebody who suddenly sees a camera and they're like, "Oh, are they making a movie?" And they'll yell it out. So the mics will pick it up. So everybody's got to be like, "Hey, can you go over there, please, and get the hell out of off the set?" Or worse, they'll be like, "Hey, can I be in the movie?" I've gotten that one a few times.
Even better is this is not in the book. You're getting a new story. I was on a film called Sacrifice with Michael Madsen, and we're doing a process trailer. We're pulling the car, and we're pulling when the camera's on the back of a truck. And all of a sudden, it was the South in Alabama, and these people came out, and I think one of the actors asked, "Can I get a cup of tea?" She went to the house, made tea, and brought it out to the car.
Wow.
That's what Stacey did on a lot of filming.
That's so wild.
Else.
So let me ask you about your book, because putting something like this together, there was some dark humor in it as well, and I think that in the beginning, God created work, which I know you talked about the importance of work in your household. Out of that darkness and out of that writing, what did you get the most out of that, and how did you translate that into the book without it being so dark that it would be hard to read? Because it's fun to read, even though there's some dark parts, but I like it. I like dark.
Well, I've got stories. I got other stories I haven't even told about. I won't get into it. I can't believe I've never been this proud. I was prepared for today because I was listening to the book last night, because I said they're gonna ask me questions, and I would say I don't remember that part of the story. So I prepped and it's very interesting. You hear the stories back again, those dark stories. I'm kind of proud of the book. It's really, and my editor, almost co-writer, she did a lot. She put a lot of she did a lot of work of it. She got me all over the place. You can tell by my talking.
Yeah. But
she put me on the grid. She made me go straight. And we didn't leave out a lot of stories.
Yeah, I mean, I love the because it's in your voice, and I think that is important, especially today. People when they're reading something, when you're reading an author, you kind of want to hear what the author's voice, in your head, reading telling the stories, and you captured that with this. Was that with your editor? Like, your editor really insisted on that?
No, I set out the tone. I can't give her all that. I set out the tone. She made sure that if it did sound right, she told me that. She'd tweak it a little bit. I would write it. I read it. She'd go back and fix it up a little bit. I have a lot of chapters. I didn't use. Like, here's a great exclusive with you guys.
Okay.
So I work with David Caruso.
Oh,
nice. Yeah.
There's a famous Marilyn Monroe's contemporary. I always forget her name. A famous actress. She's very pretty in the 40s and 50s. And she wrote a book about her life. And one of the chapters, she was married to Ernest Borgnine. And she said on one chapter, one page said, "Chapter so and so. I married Ernest Borgnine." That's all she wrote. The whole page was blank. I wanted to do that with Ernest Borgnine, like I know with David Caruso, because I didn't want to cause any problems, but he was a handful. He was a handful. I was on CSIMA for like 4 or 5 months.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard stories about David.
I always thought especially when he played the character, because I know Tommy worked on CSI, right? The CSI Miami, right? If I remember correctly.
You were on for 5 months, you said?
Well, here's the thing is, there was a brush up, and I found after cancer, I was getting all these calls for work. Have you told people I had cancer yet?
We did.
It was part of the biography.
It was part of the bio that we read at the beginning. Yeah.
So After a while, I said I was a pretty hot PA, a pretty hot AD here. Was hard. I don't need to put up with this stuff. I kind of buried myself in the corner, turned down a bunch of jobs, but it was tough. I mean, the business is very tough.
Yeah.
Harder.
Yeah. Did you find was David Caruso one of the tougher ones?
There was this one British director. Well, once again, you're getting exclusive.
Good. That's what we want.
I worked at a show, The Circle, and this British director, I give his name if I can remember it. He's screaming at everybody. And I stuck my way up to Chicago, to Universal to get the interview for Chicago PD. I got the job pretty much. I came down. After the second day, I was a little worn out. He took me in a trailer and said, "You better get your so-and-so together or you're off." He started yelling and screaming at me, swearing at me. I finally said, "Well, I guess I better go then." And the best part is I heard the rest of the crew was happy because I was one of the few people who called his bluff. I wouldn't scream at the crew as much because, I called
that must have felt really good to do that.
Well, I learned afterwards. I was at Chicago PD the next 2 weeks.
Right. Wow. I think last time you were here, we did talk a little bit about on-set etiquette, and the difference, throughout the decades of how the industry has shifted and to what we currently have now, which is, I was just talking to George about how many networks there are. I sometimes will be on Instagram and I'll see a network and it has television shows that I've never heard of, well produced, acted, well shot, and it's another network, so there seems to be more opportunities, but because there's less income that can go to, the major networks are the ones that have the bigger budgets because of advertising. What's one of the biggest differences or the biggest changes that you witnessed while you were on that journey for the 30 years?
Well, back up, there's tiers. Like you can do a TV show I was on NBC broadcast. That was the highest pay you get. Then you got cable. You got for internet shows. You could be a DJ. You could be you got small. It goes down. My prediction is this. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Slowing down the work. A lot of people aren't working still.
That's true.
A lot of people say that I got out at the right time. I say, well, I don't think a good reason for it is incurable progressive degenerative disease, but a lot of people aren't working because they're slowing it down. I mean, on Facebook, there are people talking about how they just sell their house and all that. I think a lot of people are going to start making shows on their own, like mom and pop stores.
Yep.
They're going to get cocky and someone's going to get hurt. They say, we did this, we could just do this, we could steal this. I mean, I hate the word steal the shot because that means someone's not been prepared. And I always say, on a bunch of shows, I said, I'm too old to go to prison. I mean, someone's going to get hurt bad.
Yeah. I mean, I think the future is definitely going to be the smaller houses are going to be. I mean, it's kind of already happened to a certain degree, but I think the majors are spending, just way too much money on these projects that have to make, they have to make $100 to $200 million for them to just break even to some degree. Some of these bigger, and I don't know how long that can be sustainable.
I'll say this: no one else will. On the bigger shows, the agents sneak in more money. Everyone's piling on these huge Marvel movies. That's how they're making the money now. The Marvel, are they?
Yeah, now they're gone now. I mean,
they're all the agents and all the producers would drop their fees and it just $200 million. You could throw another $500,000 on it. No one's going to notice.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that is the destruction of the industry. Is it's Hollywood, those major studios, in my opinion.
I think so too. It's going to be AI. Everyone says AI every 15 seconds, but I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with AI is, and that was a major thing with the strike, because they wanted to have your essence in your face and be able to use it indefinitely and only pay you for that one time that they used it. So, I mean, I think that was kind of ridiculous. But at the same time, you can take AI and create a face. You can make the faces whatever you want to make them.
True.
I think the future is not, it's going to be always story. Stories are always going to lead because it's if you go to AI, if you go to chat GPT or something and you have to write me a story, and you can put whatever you want, right? The stories are so bad. They're so terrible because there's no spirit, there's no life to them. It's literally just a computer spitting out something that's already been put there and guessing.
Well, I my favorite expression, you said, it's about story, which is true. My favorite expression, the answer to all questions is money. The famous vice president of ABC said that once.
Yes.
Well, and that's the thing. I think you're seeing, again, as the guy who just watches movies and stuff like that, stories, and I agree with you, John. I think stories should be where it all is. I just think that a lot of these studios are sacrificing stories for all the drama and the glitz and the glamour and stuff because it's easier to get people in the seats to see that. Stories have become, at least on the mainstream, from what I'm seeing, a backstory. Really, it's kind of on the backside of things. Yeah. And if it's not a Marvel thing, then it's like, well, let's take something that was popular in 1975 and let's bring it to now and put our spin on it and create a whole new thing for the generation, right? Which is never as successful as what it was in 1975. But I think you're right. I think story, in my opinion, it's still for me, maybe because I'm an older guy, but it's still for me the number one thing that drives me to a movie. I want a story to make me cry. I want to make me laugh. I want it to scare me, But at the end of it, I want to say that was worth, the story, So kind of the way I look at it.
But it's also all these focus groups, right? They're all these. They get in there and they think they know what the audience wants because this movie made this amount of money, right. So let's make that same movie again.
Yeah.
But then they add, they can't. You just can't do that. It's successfully, and I think that's part of the what's happening with Hollywood is like the Barbie movie. It made a lot of money. So do you think there's going to be another Barbie movie?
And Barbie 2.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. There may be a movie called Ken. It may be Ken.
It's the business because what happens is 30, 40 years ago, it was art. You go to the film to be entertained, like Butch Cassidy said as a kid, I don't know why that came to me. Mm-hmm. That's a very nice movie. It's got all kinds of stuff in it. Mm-hmm. But the business started getting into the film business, and they said, well, let me get this right. You put out 10 films, one of them makes money? No, that's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
So if I'm trying to think of let's use Barbie. Everyone knows, no matter what the story is, you know what Barbie means. You already have to.
Yep.
Yeah. Everybody got the punchline already.
Right.
Everybody's in on it, so it's easy.
You should do a Three Miserable Men about film.
What was that?
We should do a podcast all together called Three Miserable Men and Film.
I think I do that weekly now. I've been doing that for years. That's just with a different title. Yeah, I saw Rear Window the other day, a couple of weeks ago actually, and the whole movie, Jimmy Stewart is in a wheelchair for the whole pretty much the whole thing, but it every single scene moves you to the next scene. It doesn't leave you anywhere. You're always interested in what the next is happening, and you would think that it's such a slow pace film, and there's a lot of looking through the window, and but what a great accomplishment. And will we ever see something like Rear Window again?
Let me flip it on here though. It's only happened. It just happened recently. Remember The Birds?
The Birds, yeah. Sure.
I can't remember the lead actress.
Tippi Hedren.
He tormented her.
Yeah.
And nowadays you can't do that.
Oh, I see what you. And like in real life, the actress, he tormented the actress.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, Alfred Hitchcock was a special kind of person.
No one's gonna see you from Alfred Hitchcock. Don't worry about it. Say what you want.
Well, the thing, it's hard for me because I really enjoy the films, but at the same time, like when you hear his interviews, he doesn't seem to really like actors. I mean, not that he doesn't. He said it pretty much. He said movies would be great if it wasn't for actors. That was one of his lines. He uses them as pawns to tell his story. Now he's brilliant. And Psycho, during the period of Psycho, the studio didn't want to give him any money, so apparently he used his television crew to make Psycho. And just the shower scene alone is like 75 cuts, just in that famous shower scene. There's like 75 cuts in there, and you think, can you get away with something like that today?
No.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you can't, and the torment part of it. I think that I saw who was it? It was Gene Wilder when he was talking about the what's the chocolate factory film?
Oh,
Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka.
So he told the director that he wanted to walk in with a cane, and he wanted to trip and do a somersault forward, and then stand up and be fine. And the director was the best. No, we don't want to do that. That's not. And he said, well, if we can't do that, then I don't want to be in this film. And he said, why do you want to do that? And he said, well, the reason is because from that moment on, then no one will know if I'm telling the truth or not.
Wow.
Everyone will be on their edge, like not knowing if he's lying. And then at the end, when he yelled at that boy was not prepared for that yelling speech. And Gene Wilder told the sound guy, be prepared because I'm going to yell really loud, and I don't want to rehearse it that way with the boy.
Right.
So when he really came out, the boy in real life really got emotional and started like almost like being scared, like almost on the verge of tears, and things like that. Sometimes you think, oh, well, that's not really nice, but it did get the product. And I'm sure that at the end, everything was fine because the story obviously ends well. Sorry if anybody hasn't seen it.
Wasn't that boy traumatized though?
Yeah.
Actually, the actor's now on a horse bed up in Vermont.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And he grew up to be the son of Sam afterwards. But hey, these things happen.
Hey, Tommy, did you see the? Hey,
Back to our previous discussion. Look how many Willy Wonkas there has been. Remember Willy Wonka? Now there's like 3 or 4 different Willy Wonkas.
Ugh, they're terrible.
Oh
too.
Yeah.
I have not seen one of them because I saw the previews of one, and I think Johnny Depp did one, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
It wasn't too good, but the latest one's pretty good though.
Oh, really? Oh, cool. Okay, well, if you say that, then I'll check it out. That's the thing about film for me right now. It's like it's got to be somebody that I trust that says you should check this out, and I'll check it out.
And
film business, trust the film business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Tommy, did you see the movie The Whale?
A long time. Is a lot older film.
The one with Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser. I think he won an Academy Award for that.
I haven't. No.
Yeah. I haven't watched it either. Actually, George told me about it.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that I had recommended that I had saw recently. Well, probably the most recent movie that I saw that I really enjoyed. Story. Going back to that story, going back to your thing on the Rear Window, because it's kind of a similar thing where it pretty much takes place in one place.
Yeah, don't tell us.
No, I'm not good now, but I'm just saying that it takes place kind of in one place. It's not overshot. It's not, and it really relies on not only the story, but the acting is tremendous in it.
Yeah.
By everyone involved. And when you leave this story, you're like, wow, it was a very powerful story. So I definitely recommend that movie.
Yeah, definitely want to check that out. Tommy, you said, go ahead.
It's going to be that you should another channel like Paramount or Disney. I go, that's like putting an alcoholic in a liquor store. or video. I'm just going to say I'll never leave my place.
Yeah.
I have the ocean about 100 yards from me.
Oh wow,
Nice.
nice. Yeah, I mean, we could go on and talk about the industry part of it, but for me, I still love, I love storytelling and I love writing, and there'll always be a medium. Maybe no one will see my films. That's fine. I don't care, but I'm gonna continue to tell the stories, and continue to write. And I think those are the really the only way that I could look at it right now to keep going, because what else can I, what else can you look forward to?
Well, once someone said, I can't remember who said this, it's a great, it's actually, there's a saying that's starting to be untrue. Once someone said, film business will never be art, will never be true art, just as accessible as paper and pencil.
That's right.
True.
That's yeah.
Poetry, storytelling, music, you can do it with a piece of paper and pencil.
That's right. That's always going to be the and this is why AI will help us. But here's another thing, and I saw somebody post this, and I want to get your take on this. AI has, for some reason, right? AI should be utilized to help us with tasks that that we don't want to do. Laundry, dishes, cooking, ordering.
Well, you don't want to do.
Yeah, stuff that we don't want to do, right? And yet it seems like it goes into the art, right? AI has just it's into the art. It's like, okay, how can we make art using this to not pay the actors, or how can it write a post, or write a story for us? And the whole idea of AI is to enhance our lives, to be able to help us do more, and be able to live better lives, be able to live, instead of having to go just do some of the things that we don't really enjoy doing. We can go out and we can actually enjoy our lives, but it seems like all the attention for the AI is towards the film industry, the music industry, writing articles. AI is like now writing these articles, and they're getting busted. Like, I think a really popular publication recently got busted using AI articles.
Yep.
And it was somebody famous. I can't remember who it was, but it was famous, like as famous as like the New York Times, basically. I can't remember who it was, but and that to me is like, that's where it gets really tragic.
Well, the good, the bad about that is, I think a lot of stuff you don't see because it's not as flashy as film and music. Well, I'm going to send a fastball right down your guys' plate. Ready for this?
Yep.
AI cures Parkinson's. Why isn't that happening?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Why isn't it doing that?
Yeah, you're right.
Because AI could literally figure things out in seconds on the bloodstream, your blood count, wherever you are, and find out where the problem is, and then create a solution for it. And that, I hope that there's someone out there, and maybe they haven't been born yet, but when they're born, that they actually would take AI and their geniuses and use it towards something like that. Because I think that's where, but it's the money, I mean, it's more money in the treatment than the cure.
You're absolutely right.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, it's tragic.
I'm depending on George to come up with some magic potion.
Well, I tell you what, whenever I do have any, even with my back, I go to George.
George, in 5 months I'm coming to you and say, "Do you have it done? Have you done?"
I tell you, when I hurt my back, I asked George about it. And I also I don't know if you follow Dr. Berg on YouTube, but I follow him a lot. And he had recommended a couple of stretches and vitamin D. I think it was D with a number on it, with a D3, and then K something.
K2.
K2. And I started taking that, and it really started helping me like tremendously, like with my back, and I didn't have any pain. I don't have any pain now. I'm just more scared, but I'm just being very careful. But yeah, I think that's something that AI could definitely handle which is
It's Dr. Burke, a code word for George.
How did you guess?
He had one of those rubber masks on. Mission Impossible.
Just can't go 6 years in my body without a broken bone, a scar, or surgery.
Wow. Gosh, it's crazy. So, Tommy, I wanted to first of all, I want to thank you for always taking the time, and I know you took some time out from your schedule to watch my film and also walk with me through it, and give me some great ideas. Which I'm working on a new film, and I have your notes and stuff, so I'm using a lot of those notes in my new film. So I wanted to also just personally thank you for doing that.
Also, I said more nudity, right?
What was that?
More nudity.
More nudity. More nudity, yeah. But the only problem is, why does the director have to be nude? I don't that the cast does not understand that yet.
It should be the other way around. The director should be nude.
I remember the casting guy, the director was meeting casting guy, and he wanted to meet them in his underwear. And the casting director's like, you can't do that. Also, the old days. I mean, stories about we could say how bad the film business is going in this direction, but in the old way, I mean, there's some really bad things.
Oh, I've heard of. I just heard right now one of those child actors that was in one of the really famous films, like one of the Goonies or something like that. Told a story about he was invited to go see a very famous guy who he didn't want to give the name, but he went to go, and he had his robe on, and he said he wanted the boy to take his clothes off, and he needed to take some photos of him for the shoot and he was like, he didn't want to do that. He said, if you do that, you'll be in this film and you'll have a full career. He didn't do it. He left. He got dropped from his company, from his management, and he barely could work after that. He barely found work.
Unbelievable.
So remember that cheap about kids Nickelodeon show?
It was, I think it was a Nickelodeon show.
Yeah, I did hear that.
I was with another Brian and came with the two big time. They were kid actors, and they became producers. I worked on the show that was kind of the cousin of the show where they had all the problems on it.
Wow. What was that young guy? Corbin? No. Kareem. There were two.
An intern by the computer. So look that up for us.
Yeah.
What was he on? What?
He was a child actor, and he was a lot of different things, and he kind of grew up a little bit strange with a lot of stuff. But he's on right now on a mission. He's telling these stories of these people, and it's like Corey
Haim.
Corey Haim. Yeah, and he's been out right now, but of course they make him out to look like he's nuts and he's on drugs and yeah.
He's never gonna work. I mean, it's just horrible.
Yeah, no, he won't get any work. Yeah, I mean he wasn't great to begin with, from what I've seen. Anyway,
Lost Boys, yeah.
Yeah.
Corey Haim's the one who died of overdose.
Corey Feldman was the other guy. Yeah.
Corey Feldman, the one who's alive, who's currently alive.
Corey Feldman, yes.
Feldman, yeah. So these poor guys, they're out there trying to. But anyway, that's kind of depressing. So let's.
Talk about the book.
Yeah.
You have the author here. First time you read the book, tell me, ask me any question.
Yeah. Well, I've been asking. Yeah, I mean, I love the how funny and how illuminating it is to audiences. Now, this book is something that, because if someone would read they say 30 years of film and television production, right? But I don't think that this is just for people in film.
No.
This is a really, really great book, a biography about a life, and obstacles that you overcame. So I think I recommend this book for anyone to read. Yeah. Not if you're in film, you're going to get an extra benefit because you're going to get to see behind the scenes on things and things that you normally don't see. But for me, this is a book that anyone could read. I'm going to recommend it to my wife actually, so she can read it because it's just a great story of perseverance.
Especially for the young folks today, because sometimes the young folks today don't understand what work ethic is.
That's right.
And it's a great book to share with the younger folks to realize, hey, look, you're working. This is something I teach my daughter, and my daughter's working now. She understands the value of working, and she really wants to, make it in life, do well, but she understands where that work ethic comes from. So I think it's important to show kids this type of story, this type of book, and perseverance and stuff like that. It's very, very helpful.
It really is. It really is, and we really appreciate it.
I went to Boston College and business school, and a lot of my surprise audience, a lot of classmates of mine, former classmates of mine, said I try to get my kid to read the book.
Wow.
One friend.
Wow.
She, one classmate of mine, he's got a daughter. They divorced, and she's staying with her mother in California, and they live in Santa Barbara. And the mother's new boyfriend's a playwright. I said, how are you going to find any connections in Santa Barbara? It's a beautiful town. It's got great people there, but it's limited. I always say, you don't meet anyone in your living room. You got to get out. You got to meet people. I know electronics. I mean, John and George, do you meet people? Do you network just as much through electronics or in person?
No, for me, it's always networking. And I've said this before in the past. What's the producer, David Foster?
Yeah.
David Foster was speaking at a school, and they were asking him questions, and somebody asked him, how do you become successful? What's the most important thing? And he asked the students, how do you get, and they were saying, perseverance, and hard work. And he said, yes, all those. But the number one thing is networking. He said, going out and meeting people, because you can actually be at home and you can know everything about something. But if you don't meet anybody, if you're not out there, you're not going to, and that's one of the things that I do the most. I go out to clubs, I watch bands, I meet people, and it's just for me, it's just a passionate thing I love meeting people, first of all, and just hearing their story and seeing what they're working on. But networking is always going to be the number one thing. And this social media and video chat and all that stuff is all cool, but really going out and meeting people is always going to be the number one thing. We're a social planet, we want to be in each other's spaces.
Right.
It's like technology is like trying to separate us and put us into houses where you never have to leave your house because they deliver food. You can you can do video chats. You can work from home. The food will be delivered. You get everything sent to you. You literally could never leave your house for a whole lifetime. And that seems to be encouraged, and you just don't get anywhere that way.
I am pretty much eclectic about, I'm going to change the subject for a quick second, but still say the same. Mm-hmm. People with Parkinson's, they could shutter themselves. I mean, if you have a mother or father or brother or whatever, just get them out talking. You got to get them out.
Yep.
And to just regress, and they shouldn't do that.
Yeah. I think it's super important to do that, to get out and meet people and chat. It's really important. So, Tommy Burke, I want to ask you to come back anytime. I mean, definitely, I want to actually finish the book, and then we could have another conversation.
Book?
Huh?
I die in the end of the book.
You did? Why did you spoil it for me?
It's a true story.
I can't believe he spoiled it. Now, I'm going to read this now. Butler did it.
I'll fly you guys here. We'll do a podcast on my beach, my little porch, and we'll look at the ocean.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I'm there, man. I'm there.
I love that.
George's got to leave his house till he finds a cure.
Yeah, George, get to work.
All right.
Get those damn mushrooms going and boiling or something. Do something.
You this on your front door, like, and you open the door, like, George, where's the medicine?
Where is it?
Well, listen, I'll do it or I'll get arrested trying.
That's right. Oh, gosh. All right, Tommy Burke, everyone. Thank you so much, Tommy, for being on. We appreciate you so much. We love the book. And I was just thinking, and George, this may be a good idea for us to actually have like a book club that we promote on the show.
That's a
And
great
we
idea.
should add this one as the first book that we promote. And then every time, we have a guest, we'll have a book club and actually promote what we read. I do a lot of reading and stuff. So it's like, so I think that we're going to do that. And so Tommy Burke is going to be the first book that we're promoting here on the show.
4 books. You're going to do it 4 times.
4 times? Okay. You got it. 4 times. Let's do it.
It's fine. You better know it. We're not like, sure, Tom. Sure. Okay, fine.
Right.
Yeah, George. Sure. I'll find a cure for Parkinson's. Yeah, sure. Okay, fine.
Yeah. We'll work on it. Tommy, thank you so much for being on. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Tommy.
Be on again.
Yeah, absolutely. I will definitely send out the message to Tracy, and we'll schedule another appointment for sure.
Tracy Hunter is my leader. Whatever she tells me to do, I do.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome.
All right, Tommy, take care of yourself. We'll talk soon. God bless.
Right, bye.
Take care,
Bye.
Tommy. Bye-bye.
What a great guy.
Yeah, man.
Guy's the best.
He always inspires. He's just.
Yeah, but I thought about that. It's a good idea. We should definitely do that.
Yeah, that's it. Look at that. An idea born right on the show. Right. See, this is why I tell you, live is the way to go.
Right. Yeah, totally.
I told you live is the best thing.
You're right. I should listen more.
God, John, you need to listen.
Oprah has a book club, right? She's always promoting books about
crap. No, you're right. Absolutely.
Injecting asbestos into your skull. I think that was the last one she recommended. But yeah, I think that we should just have our own. We should have our own book club.
Yes, I think it's a great idea. I agree. Yeah. And if you guys who are still watching and listening, if you're into it with us, do it. Let's do it, man. Let's get some books and
recommend some books and maybe some authors out there if you're watching and you want to be on the show. We've had actually a few people that have written books. Matter of fact, I'm reading a couple of books now.
One of them should be John's book, by the way.
Yeah, that'll be coming out, and then I'll be on the show.
Yeah.
A Paper Orchestra. This is actually by Michael Jamin, and I've been reading that. I just kind of started, so I'm not really. Literally, I just started the forward, but it's very, very inspiring because I follow him a lot, and he talks a lot about. He's a writer, and he's writing for shows it. But back here on the recommendation is Mark Maron, John Mayer. People that are read the book and really like it and stuff like that. He's a great writer for television and some other stuff. But King of the Hill, Just Shoot Me, Beavis and Butthead.
Oh wow.
Wilford, Rules of Engagement. So he's written for all those shows, and he's like, he's really, really cool. So that's a book right there. We haven't had him on, but I'd love to ask him if he can come on, and maybe he will. Who knows? Crazy things will happen. All right, folks. Well, we want to thank you all for tuning in. The show is a little bit different. Always exciting. It's always exciting. And this is what I like. I like. It's like what did you share this?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So yeah. So Sean's on his way here because we're gonna have a show. So let me just do a little promotion. This coming Friday, May 3rd, is the first. You Are the Magic concert series, sponsored by JHS Talent Management, and we have Soul Chess, Mockingbird Canyon Road, and Break Time going to be on. The show is going to be opened by Break Time, Mockingbird Canyon Road. We're going to be in the middle, and then Soul Chess is going to close out the evening. I'm very excited. If you're in the Nashville area, please come on down. Entrance is free and parking is free, so really you have no excuse. Just come on down because we know how parking is in these areas and stuff, and this is actually a really cool space. So we'd love to have you there this Friday, May 3rd. Doors open at 7:30. Show starts at 8 p.m. and then we have 3 bands. So very exciting. So
awesome.
What else? George is going sky. No,
I already did that.
Yes, skydiving. Have you ever skydived? I know you talked about that.
No, I've talked about that, but I have not done it yet. But it is on my list.
You do want to do that, right? Yeah,
I will do it at least once. You know, if I pass out, I pass out. But no, but
Yeah, I have no interest in that. In that.
I would do it just to do it. You know, I mean, just to say I did
People
it.
do it, and they say that it's like life changing. People have just like it's like been like an incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I've had people in my family who have done it, and they said
Yeah.
you're right, and they say it's one of the most incredible things they've ever done because you literally see the world,
Yeah,
and
you're
it's
just
just
falling.
you're falling. It's like when William
Like,
Shatner went to space, all of a sudden it kind of changed his life, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. I was thinking about him too. Also, like he had a whole different view of life. All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We could go on because George and I are blabbermouths, but we appreciate you taking the time to be here with us. And we will see you again next week, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can visit us at artistblueprint.live. Check out some old episodes. Sign up for our email list. And and thank you very much for joining. And as always, thanks, George. I tricked him. And as always, peace.
Peace. Paz.
Bus.